Alright, it's Combat Mission Black Sea for the Russian time, and man, do I have a turn for you. This first minute is pretty great. There's just a full-on firefight going on up here. It's fantastic. Lots of fire getting traded both ways. You take a few casualties, cause a few casualties. It goes back and forth. In this woods here, your recon gets finished off for good. You lose contact on this Abrams almost right after the turn starts. So you may want to cancel that precision fire mission on empty dirt now. You have a new tank contact here. You have contacts moving up here, and hey, you kill the tank. Now your T-90s finally get some revenge. They shoot a tank down here as it peeks around the corner. Helicopter continues to make a lot of noise. It shoots HE rockets. There's no more ATGMs that you can see, just lots of ground level explosions that land around stuff but manage to not kill anything this turn. Stuff continues shuffling around in your backfield. Infantry takes up positions in these woods. And man, let's go take a look at some of the stuff that happens. So we'll start with this general area, the firefight. You have a bunch of contacts here. All Ukrainians. All in this area. Gunfire is just constant for this whole turn. You can see you're putting out a ton of good fire onto these guys. Grenades going back and forth. Firing down here. Firing up here. Firing everywhere. You take some casualties. We take a casualty in both squads. This is down to one man. This is down one man. These guys eventually take a casualty. They cause a couple too. See, there's some freshly dead guys there. So yeah, this contact was definitely right on top of you, by the way. It wasn't over here, it was right next to you. You just couldn't see it. You see it now, though. You kill at least two guys. You're shooting up in here. Lots of fire going back and forth. This infantry is spreading out, going in this direction. You have scouts down the road getting into place. Roll 20s goes off because I forgot to turn off chat. And man, yeah, no, it's just a proper engagement with a solid front. So lots of shooting for the entire duration of the turn here. This explosion at the end, not exactly sure what it is. It's a pretty big blast, so I think it's an Apache rocket. I'm not actually sure. It's either you guys or them. I don't actually see the source, so something blows up there. Big firefight. So something fun that happens right here is that you actually take a shot from this contact here. This contact here sends a shot whizzing over one of your BTR's heads and into the forest. Here it is right there. So I think that one came actually pretty close to hitting it. Yeah. And the airburst pins this grenade launcher team but doesn't wound any of them. So that was almost bad for you. Down here you lose the remnants of your infantry to the Americans. A lot of American infantry contacts in these woods. They completely kill this squad. And this guy over here surrenders by the end of the turn to the Americans around him. Yeah, he's gone. Traitor to the motherland. So down here you get a view of a tank rolling up around the road right by that BTR that you lost, the recon one. So if you'll excuse the view, you see a tank, turret turns, you kill it pretty effectively. So, it was behind some trees, so it was a decent shot. And it's not one of the fancy Ukrainian BTRs, it's actually one of the old shitty ones. That's just a T-64 with some explosive reactive armor slapped on. So this is way dead. You can see it's right next to the BTR you lost, so that tank contact, one of them pushing down around the corner here. In other news, I reloaded your one Igla. It got a shot off. I think the shot's still in the air, or the shot didn't make it. But you got one more shot off. I'm not sure if it did anything. You'll find out for the next turn. And I think that about covers it for the action in this minute. So lots and lots going on, lots to cover. And I'm sure it'll continue apace into the next minute. I'm on the orders section now, and something that's probably worth noting for the Russians rather, is that the only thing that sees all these tanks is your scout, your lone scout who survived from the initial engagement. Because everybody else who is in these trees pretty much, they don't know it's there. So you only know there's stuff here because this guy's alive, which is an interesting note. Second half of the turn for the Russians. So lots of stuff happening. This firefight continues apace. You take a bunch of casualties over here, and by a bunch I mean one in this driver of a bailed out crew, to some little mushrooms of dirt that look a lot like indirect fire instead of rockets from any kind of helicopter. I believe you see rockets coming in. I think. I'm not 100% on this. Something is exploding back here and eventually up here in kind of a disorganized fashion, not very targeted. These guys in the woods start taking fire from one of these tank contacts, which has now been information shared. Well, just to these guys. So these guys and these guys can see it. They die completely. This firefight continues apace. Over here it's quieted down. You killed that tank and nothing much else happens. This contact moved away and you don't see it again. You do plenty of killing. You kill off an entire squad over here and contact disappears. So we're going to go in and take a look at everything that happens. So we'll start off in the murder forest over here where it's just fucking gunfire everywhere. The sound of assault rifles just doesn't stop. You got lots of shit happening. Fire going in here. You shoot your RPGs because, by the way, if you use target, you fire your AT assets. If you use target light, you just use guns. So they fire everything they fucking have into these woods. Over here, you have guys running up right next to each other. You actually, if I'm gonna rewind onto it, you have a brave soldier run straight up next to these Ukrainians and die. You kill plenty of these guys too. Lots of shooting on these contacts. Over here, you see a bunch of dead Ukrainians. This one lone guy, kills at least 5 dudes on his own. He's wounded, he's been hit by shrapnel, he's tired and nervous, and he kills this entire Ukrainian squad more or less single-handedly, so that's pretty goddamn impressive. But other than that, your BTRs are just pouring overwhelming fire into here. You took those casualties in the last minute, but these guys are at this point too suppressed to do anything. Lots of shit is happening in here, and it is just absolute chaotic murder, and I love it. So these guys are well hidden on the reverse slope over here, but there's a whole bunch of area fire coming down here. It doesn't look particularly targeted. Not much that could see them anyways. They're very clearly on the reverse slope and behind trees, but air bursting explosives kill everybody. So this entire squad dies on the reverse slope without getting anything in return. You get a spot on a tank down here, an American tank and Abrams. It's this guy who spots it, this heroic scout, doing a lot of good for you. Oh my god. Wow, okay. He equipped his anti-tank rifle here for a second. Oh man. Oh man, that's exciting. I'm sorry. Holy shit. I didn't even notice that. So this guy, oh my god, a hero of the Soviet Union. He sees the tank, and he pulls out a rocket launcher. Did he take the shot? I don't think he took the shot. It's kind of hard to tell, there's so much going on. No, he doesn't take the shot. He was aiming and he stops. Oh man. Okay, so there's an Abrams right here, and you could pull a Hail Mary Recon RPG 26 into the back of it. So that's cool. I hope that happens. Elsewhere, crew took a casualty over here. So your crew bailed out of this vehicle. Oh no, this is definitely 30mm fire. 30mm fire wrecks a lot of people over here. This is definitely from the cannon of a helicopter. This guy gets blown the fuck up. So that continues to happen. Elsewhere, you get stuff like this. I think that's helicopter, it's hard to tell. Basically, there's a lot of ordnance landing all up around here. Yeah, so this one is not particularly targeted. This one just kind of lands in the middle of nowhere, which suggests to me that it's maybe not a helicopter, because usually they hit trees or whatever, they just don't hit dirt. So there's lots of stuff happening. Tons of bodies in this wood, lots of dead people on all sides, BTRs moving up, tanks shooting at each other here, hero scout, dead tank over here. Oh my god, this is starting to become a proper brawl. I'm liking it. And now I'm going to do a unit summary. So, first company, as always, over here. They're spreading out. Pretty much everybody is approaching their target destinations. Kulkevs gets a tank kill. That's awesome. Second company dudes that are moving up in here. They kind of got this spread out defensive formation. They've been engaging in the brunt of the legwork with these Ukrainian guys here. Kind of got an enveloping pattern here. You got a little McDonald's arch. So that's happening. You have a massive defense on this reverse slope. So nothing like these two T-90s. They're actually, directly across from these tank contacts, but there's just that reverse slope there that's just preventing them from seeing it. So I'm actually gonna, let me see, rewind until that Abrams is visible. So in terms of actual visibility, Abrams is there, and it's just not visible. The hill is just in the way. Like, your commander might be able to see it with his eyes, almost, not quite, but the slope is preventing it. So all this stuff is covering basically the last third of the hill. So third company is proper spread out now. You still got these tanks and all these blocking positions. You have a bunch of the weapons company over on this road, and you have platoons spread out along here, kind of covering the flanks of second company. So that does it for pretty much where all your forces are. You have this guy up here who has all those contacts. Yeah. So this guy is getting a whole bunch of vehicle contacts in here. I can probably, by deduction, reason that the infantry here came from these transports, similar to how your guys here came from the road. So this guy, here's a lot of transports. You're getting a ton of information, so all this information is coming from, excuse the camera, coming from two guys here. All this information is coming from one guy here. We're at 6 seconds. I'll go to 1 second, almost the very end of the turn. So yeah, so you're getting some clutch intel from a very few guys. So that's pretty effective use of scouts. So this is the very last man. This is the very last man of Decoy Badger's entire detachment. And he could be a hero here. He's actually the first unit to get engaged, but he's the last one to still be alive. So, I won't rant any longer. I'll hand it off to you guys. You can feel free to look at the save. That'll do it for me in this turn, and I will see you next time.